welcome Ambassador HKU.
Thank you for the introduction. Magandang umaga. It is indeed my great pleasure to be addressing such a distinguished audience today. From the Philippine government, from many embassies and many of my friends, ambassadors, it's great to see you in the audience, academia, think tanks, and of course the important media that amplifies these important messages. I want to first start by paying my respects to the late former Philippine Foreign Secretary Albert Del Rosario and express my sincere condolences to his family and friends for his passing earlier this year. It is a big loss for all of us. Because Secretary Del Rosario was a champion of international law and led the Philippines to commence international arbitration proceedings to bring about a peaceful resolution to disputes in the South China Sea. And it is the 7th anniversary of that landmark arbitral award that brings us all here today. And it underscores the fundamental importance of international law in resolving disputes peacefully. And as a founder of Strat ADR Institute, and indeed its namesake, I know that Secretary Del Rosario would be proud of the strength and support today's groupings bring to protecting the peace, stability, and prosperity of the Indo-Pacific. And I'm delighted that Australia is supporting today's extremely important event to celebrate international law with all of you and mark the occasion of this very important award. We all depend on a region governed by accepted rules and norms, where all countries can cooperate, trade, and thrive. We've got that right. This includes ships and aircraft being able to take goods to market and even people to each other unimpeded. The South China Sea is a vital waterway for the entire international community. We want to see a peaceful South China Sea where international law is respected and adhered to and waterways are open for trade. But we all know, sadly, the South China Sea faces many risks and challenges. Maritime claims inconsistent with UNCLOS, the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, are causing tension. This is worsened by what we are seeing as the militarization of disputed beaches and unsafe behavior at sea and in the sea, which we have unfortunately seen too much of in recent times. And this sits against a backdrop of illegal, unregulated, and unreported fishing, barriers to harnessing marine resources, and degradation of the natural environment. Because ultimately, this is about livelihood. Australia is deeply concerned when countries pursue claims or engage in activities that are inconsistent with international law, where they undertake activities that are provocative and destabilizing, or where they don't respect the rights and freedoms of others, or when they advance their claims by intimidation and coercion. UNCLOS provides the comprehensive legal framework for all activities in the oceans and seas, and it provides the foundation for peace and security and stability in the maritime domain. Adherence to UNCLOS is vitally important for the region, and maritime claims, whether in the South China Sea or elsewhere, must be consistent with UNCLOS. On its 7th anniversary, it remains as important as ever that the parties abide by the 2016 South China Sea Arbitral Award. So Australia's actions are guided by our desire to support our partners enhance maritime security, and uphold international law. That is why we invest so heavily in maritime partnerships in the region, to build maritime domain awareness, combat challenges like illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing. And that is why we will continue to exercise freedom of navigation and overflight, support the rights of others to do the same, and strengthen our relationships with our regional partners. This has been a big year for the Philippine-Australia relationship, with high-level visits from our Deputy Prime Minister and Defence Minister Richard Marles, Foreign Minister Penny Wong, Trade and Tourism Minister Don Farrell, and Special Envoy for Southeast Asia, Nicholas Moore. And last week, very fittingly, we had our bilateral maritime security dialogue. This was the third we had, and I understand we were the inaugural country to start it with the Philippines. This demonstrates just how important the Philippine relationship is to Australia. Our maritime partnership is central to our relationship and the vision we share for the region. It's about safety, it's about stability, and it's about prosperity. It's respect for sovereignty, mutual trust, shared ambition, and so importantly, hope for the future. That is why formally elevating our relationship to a strategic partnership later this year is a top priority for both our countries, certainly for the Australian government. To formally recognise what we already know is true, that we are already de facto strategic partners, with our maritime partnership being a central pillar of our long-standing and wide-ranging relationship. That is why Australia is investing 3.6 billion pesos in regional maritime programs, and Philippines is one of our most significant beneficiaries. During Australian Foreign Minister Penny Wong's visit to Manila, she reaffirmed Australia's commitment to promoting a safe, secure, and prosperous Indo-Pacific where sovereignty is respected. She also announced new maritime programs that Australia will pursue with the Philippines. These include providing drones, associated training and other technology to strengthen the Philippine Coast Guard's maritime domain awareness and marine environmental protection capabilities. It includes information sharing and technical assistance for Philippine maritime legislators and government officials, technical assistance to help mitigate the environmental impacts of the recent oil spill off the island of Mindoro, as well as regional training for Philippine fisheries officers to strengthen illegal fishing responses. And finally, one of my favorites, fostering women's leadership in maritime security and marine environmental protection. These build on a whole suite of initiatives we already have underway, like the Law of the Sea course, where we have trained over 440 Philippine government officials, and frankly, the list goes on. As Australia's ambassador to the Philippines, I offer this commitment before all of you. Our embassy will work tirelessly with our Philippine friends and other valued partners to promote adherence to international law and the 2016 South China Sea Arbitral Award in an effort to support the peaceful, prosperous, and stable region we all deserve to live in. In the current environment, I can't think of a fewer greater priorities than this one. Maraming salamat po, and mahalo.